Out of all the batshit crazy things I've heard the past year, this one might be up there, like top 3. Oh, by the way, SWAB podcast merch, we're starting to dabble in the merchandise.
Thank you for the gift, my friend.
Oh, don't thank me. There's another individual you should be thanking.
Nice.
But yes, we're just dabbling. We're gonna try to get these out there. We got a lot of good feedback about these.
They look dope.
Yeah,
and
no.
it's got the logo on the back.
The back, yeah, the back stuff is good. Yeah, so shout out to that individual for doing all that.
Yes, sir.
You know, and Nick, don't worry, we got stuff on the way for you. I know it's been a little tough for Nick. He couldn't join us on the phone today, but
you got some notes.
I got notes.
Yeah.
Now, Joey, let me ask you a question.
Go.
Do you believe in dragons? You got to get closer to the mic, buddy.
Nah, I don't know. I don't know if I can believe it. I feel like if there's anything that can be said about the myth and the lore of dragons is that maybe there were dinosaurs when people were around at some point in the distant past.
Yeah, well, there's some hieroglyphics and cave paintings and things that show animals that aren't necessarily
Right.
like the same from what we know. That's how scientists, archaeologists, anthropologists, they go to caves and they're like, oh yeah, that could be this. This was a jaguar. This was an eagle. This was this. This was that. And there's some cave paintings
That are like,
that, yeah, like the ones with the alien astronaut type, and they're driving like a vehicle that looks like a motorcycle.
Those are in Arizona, famously.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff, but this is, it's a conversation. A couple weeks back, I was with somebody and their brother was having a conversation about this whole big thing. And the dinosaur topic came up.
Right.
And right after they said it, that is all I saw on Instagram.
It's just dinosaurs. And
Dinosaurs are dragons and dragons are dinosaurs. I don't know.
the algorithm ate you up, bro.
It ate me up. And the funny thing about it is that there's a show that just came out, either on Netflix or Amazon Prime, and there was a clip that I sent you where the dude is literally talking to this girl saying that, did you ever wonder why we didn't start finding dinosaur bones until 1840? And it's like, and they're using a legit conspiracy, because this is, from my research, it's a legit conspiracy. And it actually correlates with Nephilim and all this other stuff. So I am just going to get into Billy's notes. Because you gotta sometimes you gotta
switch the name up.
You gotta lead by example. If Nick's not here to do the notes, I gotta keep on doing it. So all right, so the 1800s were a time of exploration, expansion, and excavation across the United States. Farmers were digging up land, construction crews were breaking ground, and archaeologists, both professional and amateur, were uncovering artifacts all over the country. But among the arrowheads, pottery, and burial mounds, there were repeated reports of something else. Skeletons, huge ones, not just slightly taller than average, but sometimes described as even 7 to 8 to even 9 feet tall. These weren't isolated claims either. Newspapers from the time, local papers, and tabloids documented discoveries of oversized skulls, massive femurs, and entire skeletons buried in ancient mound sites. Many of those discoveries were tied to what are known as the mound builders, ancient civilizations in North America like the Adean culture and Hopewell culture. These groups constructed enormous earthworks and burial mounds, some of which still exist today. When these mounds were opened in the 19th century, reports surfaced claiming that some of the skeletons found inside were larger than modern humans. Now here's where things start to get a little strange. According to many of these reports, one of those discoveries one of the discoveries that were made, representatives from the Smithsonian Institution would step in. They would collect the bones, document the findings sometimes, and then the trail would go cold. Over time, skeptics began asking, where did all the evidence go? So they would come there, do what they got to do, take the bones, and nothing came of it.
Right.
The question became so persistent that it actually led to a major legal case in 2014 involving the Smithsonian Institution. A group of known American Institute alternative archaeologists filed a lawsuit claiming the Smithsonian had destroyed thousands of giant human skeletons in the early 1900s to protect the mainstream narrative of human evolution. Now, to be clear, the case was controversial and many mainstream historians dismissed it outright. But the fact that even it reached a courtroom, that got people talking again. So why would something like this be covered up? Well, one theory is that the existence of giant humans would completely challenge our current understanding of history, biology, and evolution. If giants existed, it could lend credibility to ancient texts and myths, like the Book of Enoch, that have long been dismissed as fiction. And that brings us to another fascinating layer of discussion, the connection between the giants and the ancient writings. So we were talking about the ancient writings, the hieroglyphs and stuff like that. There is a book called Enoch that's in certain religions that is classified as canon.
It's in the Old Testament.
There's mention of, where the...
It was part of the Old Testament, and at some point in time, it was taken out. And it was taken out probably before the birth of Christ. Like way before the birth of Christ.
So King James took the Bible.
Right.
And like wrote it to his rhetoric. And
the New Testament.
Well, he took the entire Bible, I believe. And like it says on his Bible, the King James Bible. Yeah. So that would be the Old Testament and the New Testament. So who knows what he did or had his scribes write.
Right. I mean, you could still get the Book of Enoch. It's a well-known... I know that they have it in the... they have the oldest book of Enoch in... what do you call it? In the Vatican. And they've made copies of it. Everybody, it's not like something that's been hidden, because it's been so a part of history that there's so many of the book exists in so many different copies and variations in different languages. It's not like they could dismiss it as like, oh, this was a hoax, that this book is not real. It's a real biblical text. It's just,
and there is mention,
it was omitted because it didn't fit the narrative of what they wanted to teach in Judaism and eventually Catholicism. In the Old Testament, there's also not much, but there is mentions of giant creatures, and especially the giants. And also there's a very famous story that we were taught. If you went to Sunday school, I went to Catholic school. David versus Goliath. So there's a show now on it.
He fought a giant that was larger than the average person of that time period, and beat him with a slingshot. Which that itself is kind of like, that must have been some shot.
I mean, you could throw a rock at somebody's head and split it open. As long as they're, as long as they're flesh and blood, it's probably going to kill them.
Honestly, well, that's the thing too about the giants. So you got to really read into how they were made and things of that nature. But if you look at texts like the Bible, which we were just talking about, there's references of giants, most famously the Nephilim. These beings are described as powerful, larger-than-life figures who walked the earth in ancient times. Similar stories appear in cultures all around the world. Norse mythology speaks of giants, Greek mythology has the Titans, even Native American folklore includes stories of massive beings that once roamed the land. The consistency of these stories across different civilizations raises an interesting question. Are they all just myths, or are they distorted memories of something real? Thoughts?
Could be distorted.
By the way, my reading has gotten impeccable.
Mushroom.
That was a long time we haven't done that. Yeah. Oh, man. Bringing
mushrooms,
it.
No.
Yeah, bro. Fucking, yeah, dude.
Lion's mane.
What's the other one? Ashwagandha. Is that a mushroom?
I don't think so.
No?
I think it's a root plant or something.
Is it? It's supposed to be good for your head or
I
your
take
brain.
it.
Yeah.
It just makes you sleep. You have crazy, vivid dreams on it.
I've been dabbling in gummies.
Okay.
Very good. Helps a lot with a lot of stuff.
Would it?
Dude,
I just want to stay here on this realm. I already took ashwagandha, man, and my dreams are just too wild.
You go into REM.
You get into a serious REM sleep. I slept till you could sleep till 3 o'clock in the morning, wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and feel like you slept for hours and hours. Like your dreams are so vivid in such a short time span. You go through so many different dreams. And when you wake up, you remember them. You're like, what the this is crazy. Normally you wake up and you're like, did I dream? I don't even remember dreaming. What did I dream of?
I've been getting some when I do it, because I can't first of all, we've all dabbled. It's perfectly legal now, so we can publicly say
it. Yeah. I've never dabbled, by the way.
You never smoked weed?
Never.
Wow, good for you.
I never smoked a cigarette.
Wow. I've smoked cigarettes, don't like it. You know, I vape because I don't want to chew tobacco, but that's besides the point. I did smoke a couple of times, and there was more bad highs than good. And I was presented gummies in the last couple of months, and I was like, I don't know. I've heard stories like, you know, you take too much, or, you know, and then like
Right.
3 hours later, you're like flying off the wall. So it goes by milligrams, and they were like, listen, start with half of a gummy. And I did, nothing happened. So I gauged it up to like, okay, one gummy, and nothing happened. And now I'm just like having like full 5 milligrams, and I'm good. Like, it's not too bad. I've had like one time so far that I took like 10 milligrams.
Takes the edge off.
Where I was like, whoa, this was too much, but it's not as bad as like smoking, like the immediate.
And smoking too, it
goes right.
Just in general, you know, you're like tearing up your lungs.
It goes right through you though when you smoke, and it's like, I guess the quickness of it gets to me. I don't know, but anyways, back to dinosaurs or giants or dragons or dinosaurs or whatever the case. Now let's
people were smoking some stuff back then. Maybe they saw some dragons and
you know
dinosaurs.
What? That's no lie. People were smoking plants and walking around. Who knows what they think they saw? And then
how long has what's the ayahuasca? How long has that been around? It's probably been around like thousands of years.
Yeah, long time. So let's take it a step further, right? What if the giants weren't the only creatures misunderstood by history? What if dinosaurs weren't just prehistoric animals, but something humans actually encountered? This is where the dragon theory comes in. Across ancient cultures, there are stories of dragons, which is fact. Massive reptilian creatures, often described with wings, claws, and the ability to breathe fire. These descriptions aren't that far off from what we imagine certain dinosaurs might have looked like. Was that your stomach?
No, my throat.
Wow.
Strange, right?
That was very strange. I was trying to proceed to read, and then I just heard.
They're gonna pick it up.
I thought you farted.
No, it's literally like right here.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, right. It's cool. You want water?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Yeah. So
I had that lollipop. I should have had that.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, these descriptions aren't that far off from what we imagine certain dinosaurs might have looked like, especially when filtered through ancient storytelling. Think about it. Fossils of dinosaurs have been found all over the world. Ancient people would have come across these bones long before modern science had a way to explain them. A massive skull, giant rib bones, enormous claws. What would you think if you found that without context? It's not a stretch to imagine the ancient civilizations interpreted these remains as dragons. But some theorists go even further. They suggest that humans and these creatures may have actually coexisted at some point, and that's what we now call dinosaurs, where the real-life inspiration came from actual dragons. There are even medieval illustrations that depict knights fighting dragons. And while most historians view this as just symbolic or fictional, others argue they could be based on real encounters. And if that's the case, it raises even more questions about our timeline. Are we missing pieces of history? Has our understanding of the past been simplified or even sanitized to fit a certain narrative? Now, we've seen a lot of things to try to fit narratives throughout the last 10 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Vatican, which is a very strong, just own country, the Pope is guarded by certain soldiers, and Swiss, whatever, that they were like, we can't have this get out. There was God, Jesus walked the earth, he was crucified, he ascended into heaven.
I think that it causes conjecture. So even if they're, like, let's just say for argument's sake that this is valid.
Right.
They don't want to discredit the findings of evolution. Just because two things can be true at the same time, right? This could actually be true, and also evolution could be true. But what would that do for the narrative of evolution and science if you just threw a wrench in the mix and said, hey, giants were real, they don't fit on our evolutionary time frame, and we don't know how to explain it in a way that is conducive to show that evolution is a real thing. So let's just nix it all together because we don't want people to not have a consensus that evolution is real, right? But I still think two things can be true at the same time. Giants could be, there could have been many different species. And now we are finding out that there are a bunch of different humanoid species that have coexisted alongside Homo sapiens. We're starting to dig these bones up, and we're starting to find these different types of beings, and they're naming them. There's so many stories you can't even keep up with them at this point. But one of them is like famously on Netflix, some humanoid being that like buried its own, so they know that they had like
feelings or religious
practices, which means a higher intelligence, which means language, which means writing and communication, and a faith of some sort where they get together and they have some of the same commonalities as modern man does.
Yeah, you could pick that 1,000 ways. They could be burying the dead because they don't want it to smell and animals to come that are bigger than them.
Right. You could, but then why bury them? Why bury them together?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It was together.
That's the thing. Why bury them together? Like they could separate them and just bury them wherever they die. If
being
that was
a
the
certain
case.
place buried is
right.
Yeah, that
because
changes.
It's a spot for remembrance now. Like so. This what the hell is the name of this documentary on Netflix?
It'll come to you.
It'll come, but it's really interesting, and they're small beings. They weren't very big, and they're not related to us at all in our evolutionary time frame.
Now we're gonna go back to what people claim are like a subcategory, almost similar to the Vatican, the FBI, CIA, the Smithsonian Institute. They have their own people. There's a whole area, according to multiple conspiracies, that they have in the museum, the Smithsonian Museum, the big one, that there's areas where you can't go to. So we're going to bring it back to the Smithsonian Institution. To be fair, the Smithsonian is one of the most respected research institutions in the entire world. They've contributed enormously to science, history, and education. The official stance is that there are no credible evidence of giant human existence beyond normal human variation. Most reports from the 1800s are attributed to the misidentification, exaggeration, or outright hoaxes. And that's important to acknowledge. Not every story from that time can be taken to face value. But here's where the mystery still lingers. If even a fraction of those reports were true, even one of those discoveries was legitimate, then where and why is there no evidence today? Why don't we see these bones in museums? Why aren't they studied, displayed, or at least documented in a way that public can access? Some people believe the answer lies in restricted archives, areas of the institution that are not open to the public. The idea of a secret section within the Smithsonian has become a major talking point in conspiracy circles, which I just said. A place where the controversial artifacts are stored away, hidden from the public view, like the Vatican in their little basement of joy. There's no verified proof of such a place existing, but there's altar boys down there. There's no verified proof of such a place existing, but the idea alone fuels speculation. And that's really what it comes down to, between the curiosity and skepticism of this whole thing. Now, real quick, that's most of my notes. There is, you do realize that when you go to museums that those aren't the actual bones.
Yeah, they're composites.
Right. So
from what I understand, it's the bones. A lot of the bones are radioactive, and they're not safe to handle or be close in proximity to the public.
Do you have ChatGPT available? I need you to ask ChatGPT why museums do not have actual bones on display for people to see. Because I did hear...
Hey, Chat, how come museums don't have actual dinosaur bones on display for people to see? Is it true that all the dinosaur bones that we see in a museum are composites of the bones?
It's true that most dinosaur bones on display are casts or reconstructions. The real fossilized bones are extremely fragile and valuable. Museums keep the actual fossils safe for research and preservation, while the replicas allow everyone to see and enjoy them without risking damage. So what you see in the galleries is often an exact copy, while the real bones are carefully stored behind the scenes or in research labs.
Hey, chat, was there ever giant bones like Nephilim or dragon bones ever discovered that the Smithsonian Institute came and confiscated?
No credible evidence has ever shown that the Smithsonian confiscated giant bones like Nephilim or dragon bones. Those stories are more in the realm of myths, folklore, or internet conspiracy theories. When actual large fossils are found, like those of dinosaurs or mammoths, scientists carefully document and study them. If you hear tales of giant humanoid bones, they usually don't hold up under scientific scrutiny.
Okay, now tell me about any instances where people tried to call the Smithsonian out on that, and is there any verification or validity to their claims?
There have been various urban legends and conspiracy theories where people claimed the Smithsonian hid giant skeletons, often tied to myths of Nephilim or giants. These stories usually circulate in fringe publications or online forums, but no actual evidence has ever been presented. The Smithsonian has publicly...
Now, didn't you say that they, in the notes there, that somebody tried to take them to court? Something like that?
There was. Yes, there was. Now, here's a question you can ask. Mm-hmm. Okay. Were there any bones discovered that were not prehistoric or dinosaur bones that were large humanoid femurs or bones or anything like that? I'll ask it. Hey, chat, did we ever discover any type of bones that were similar to human bones that were larger than the average person now, like over 9 to 10 feet tall?
No scientifically verified human remains have ever been discovered that reach 9 or 10 feet tall. The tallest documented humans, like Robert Wadlow, who stood 8 feet 11 inches, had gigantism, a medical condition. Claims of enormous ancient humans often stem from misinterpretations of fossils, like large prehistoric animals, or outright hoaxes. In genuine archaeology and paleontology, we haven't found any real giants beyond known human variation or medical conditions.
Okay. Well, first off, I just want to be clear. I should have led with this at the beginning of the episode. I don't believe that there was fire-breathing dragons. That's why I said.
So here's the thing: you have a dragon at the zoo here.
Yeah, well, there's Komodo dragons.
Ah, okay, and that's a big creature.
I don't think they're called dragons for the reason of the. Right.
But they spit, and their bacteria can kill you. Now, could the fire be a metaphorical?
They don't spit.
They don't spit?
No, they bite you, and because there's so much bacteria in their mouth, it infects.
Yeah, there's no antibiotics that can actually cure you.
It infects you, like, will make you go septic, like, almost instantaneously.
That's crazy, right?
So if they bite you and you get wounded, especially if you're small, because they go after small-esque prey. Usually like goats, baby goats, things like that, smaller animals. Once they bite you, you get away from it, they will come after you once you die, because
they'll come back to you
and they'll eat you. Most of them catch little prey and eat it whole, like they can't get out. I've seen videos of Komodo dragons eating like a little goat this big, alive, and the goat's like kicking. So if you're into like vor, which is a kink, that's like your wet dream right there.
That could be considered like a type of. It's not a venom, right?
It's a bacteria.
It's just bacteria. But there's the correlation there that what's in their mouth is so dangerous that it can kill you. And how to explain something like that in medieval times or even ancient times would be fire coming out of this creature's mouth because it's toxic. Like, how else are you going to explain that this very phantom thing that once they bite you, even if you survive the attack,
the initial attack, you're still going
to die. Could the fire be a representation of this bacteria that lied in all these types of, creatures' mouths that were similar to the Komodo dragon?
Well, again, back then things were a lot different. There was obviously back then they were so far from intelligence that we have now and internet that they're going based off of their stories. Like during the Salem witch trials, if you walked by something and the wind from your walking by moved something on a table and someone saw it, you were classified as a witch.
Right.
You know, like stupid stuff like that. So you don't really know what people during that time period were necessarily seeing and not being able to unexplain. The only thing I can get on board with this is there are, again, what we were talking about earlier, paintings and drawings of certain things that definitely don't match any animal of that time,
right.
or of this time. Yeah. That, and I think I'm going to jump on to your horse and say that there probably was a time where large reptilian creatures coexisted with humans.
100%. Even if they like look more along the lines of like birds, right? Yeah. Have you seen that big? I forget the name of the bird, but it's this tall ass bird. Kind of looks like a. If you watch the movie Jurassic Park, it resembles a raptor, and this is just a bird, and it's got the same big claws on its feet.
Well, didn't it just come out recently, like fairly recently, that Dinosaurs, how it was depicted for all the years that we know of, was inaccurate? That dinosaurs probably had feathers.
Potentially, that they had feathers later on in their evolution, right up until the point where, you know,
because someone recreated the Velociraptor scene where the kids were in the kitchen and
put feathers on it.
They made them with feathers, and they looked scarier, but also the size was wrong too. Like, we thought Velociraptors were like your height. Right?
Right.
But they're not. They were like yay big. So first of all, it comes after me, I'm kicking it.
But don't they have like evidence that there were bigger Velociraptors? Didn't they get smaller over time?
I'm not really sure. I just know that if you look at some of these videos that came out now, like the Velociraptors were not reptilian looking. They looked like straight up birds and like this, almost.
It's probably a direct descendant of that bird that I'm talking about.
And then they had the claws, but they were actually smaller in stature, and they weren't what we saw in the movies. Like in the movies, those things were like the size of, like maybe my height, but they weren't. So we're learning more as years goes on, And Jurassic Park came out in the 90s, early 90s, and now in the last 5 to 10 years, we're finding out that dinosaurs potentially had bones, and they're recreating the sounds of what they could possibly sound like using their skeletons and using like sound graphs to see how it actually sounded. Like they're saying the T-Rex sounded scarier than what they used in the movie.
Oh, of course. I don't know exactly what they sounded like.
They're recreating based off of the skeleton, like the vocals and I don't know. But
it's called a cassowary. Look at the size of this bird.
Oh, a cassowary?
Cassowary? You guys have one over there? Look at that.
Yes, I believe we do. And those things will mess you up.
This is a massive bird. It looks like a dinosaur.
It's not that big.
No?
No. Cassowaries. They're not that big. No. They're like about.
So there's another one that I'm mistaking it for, because there's another one that's probably like the size of like a teenager.
You talk about the shoebill, the giant shoebill bird that makes that like gun sound with its beak.
Yes.
Yeah, that's in Africa, I believe, and they I don't know if they're endangered or not, but yeah, that thing is big, and they're actually very friendly. But it's just a really big bird. I think it's the hornbill or the shoebill bird. Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken, it's a very big bird. I don't forget the name. I think it's the shoebill bird, hornbill. It's a big bird. It makes that like a gun sound, like with its beak. Yeah, those things are huge. They're tall. They're pretty tall, but they're actually very friendly. So I don't really know if I'm saying the name the right way. It's a hornbill, a shoebill bird.
It makes you wonder, because like someone, you get
just
birds.
type in giant shoebill from Africa. It'll come up, and it'll get the right name, so that I'm not aimlessly. But I think it's like hornbill or shoebill giant.
Shoebill. Oh yeah. This is definitely the bird.
Yeah, that's it. What is it? The shoebill, right?
Yeah, this thing looks prehistoric.
Yeah, no, that thing is. I'll pull it up on Instagram for TikTok and YouTube. There, yeah. So I'm on board with there might have been dinosaurs roaming around still. That some survived, and there was humans and things of that nature. I'm on board with it. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like that could definitely be plausible. I mean, we have turtles. We still have reptilians today that were around unchanged, probably in the
Yeah. Well, alligators.
Age of the dinosaur.
And alligators and crocodiles are
Still
like
there.
they're still
Unchanged.
That's,
For millions of years.
Yeah, and they're still huge.
Right.
12, some of them 12.
Well, they
and
had
14.
somewhere to escape. They were in the water. Their habitat was in the water. So if the land is destroyed,
I could tell you
they're going to survive.
right now what giant thing I believe still exists. Maybe not more than 5, but I do think there's like megalodons.
Loch Ness.
No, I don't believe the Loch Ness.
No, you don't believe Loch Ness?
No, I believe Champ, the Lake Champlain monster, because that's been documented and people actually
Saw
like
it.
yeah, like verified evidence. Like that's more reputable to me than Loch Ness. But I think there's like giant squids krakens that way they wrote about. I think that's legit because you don't know what's below the water.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many
there's
creatures that could definitely get bigger and bigger over the years.
I'm 100% on board with giant.
see
sea
some of these
creatures.
lobsters that are like this.
Yeah, I'm on board.
They're insane.
Sea creatures, giant sea creatures. I'm on board with that. I think that dragons. I think that dinosaurs did exist at some point, maybe with some humans. I mean, this when you talk about like the Flintstones cartoon,
Right.
That's them, the cave people coexisting with dinosaurs. You know what I mean?
But this conspiracy is kind of like throwing shade at the fact that dinosaurs don't exist, that we've made them up. Right.
We made up dinosaurs, right?
Right. Like the bones that we're seeing are this fabrication for Darwinism. And at the peak of Darwinism, all of a sudden, all these bones were starting to be discovered. But yeah, coincidentally, that's when scholars really started to try to understand evolution, and they started to put it together. So it wasn't like it's not a coincidence. It's just that they were like learning about it as they were finding it.
I'm glad you're saying that because that's part of the conspiracy. That because they wanted to have evolution go a certain way. That's why they made the dinosaur thing up so that people would be like, "Oh, something's off here." So they used the dinosaur thing to distract from certain things that were happening. That's part of the conspiracy that I haven't mentioned yet. But yeah, this is what's going on the social media world, and I had
It's tough. I like conspiracies, man, but some of them are just out there. Like there's people really still going hard for the flat Earth conspiracy.
Oh no, I'm not touching that.
I mean, but what's the point?
I'm not touching. That's silliness. There's so many things I won't touch. Like I won't touch 9/11.
We could debunk it hard one
I
day.
won't
We could
touch
just go-
9/11.
We could just go in, flat Earth, go hard.
People lost actual family members and friends, and I'm not touching it. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I have my beliefs. Will not speak about it on here. Flat Earth, I think it's pointless. It's like
it's one of those
we
where
had a
it's
flat
just like-
earther do a video and prove himself wrong on video while he was doing it. That's like a very viral video. So like that's that. But I'll talk about other things. I'll talk about like because we're running out of time. Artemis, did they go to space? Yes or no?
Yeah, they went to space.
Right. Years later, they went around the moon and didn't have the ability to go on the moon again.
I think we lost some of the telemetry data. I think we lost it for a very specific purpose because we didn't want any other countries to, have that data leaked to them so that they could pursue the moon. The moon is valuable. It has helium-3.
Do you think we went to the moon?
I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the first time around, maybe what we saw was something that was reenacted in a a closed setting in a
But we went back after that. Or we went there the first time after that.
No, I think we went the first time.
Really?
I really do think we went the first time.
There was just some reenactments.
I just think that there was a reenactment because I think that they had trouble, and there is plenty of documented evidence that we had trouble figuring out how to film in outer space because of the radiation. You had all these photons that were going through the film, and they were getting through and destroying the film as it's trying to record. So we didn't have the type of recordings that we have today that's all, digital with microchips and all that. It's actual film that they were, bringing up there to try to render all these images to get them back to Earth. And also there's the relaying issue of getting that, footage
But they were
back down to Earth right away.
They were transmitting. This was the 60s. They're transmitting stuff.
radio waves.
They're launching themselves back off the moon to get home somehow. We lost valuable data on how to even get there.
Right.
I
think we lost it. I don't think we lost it because we just lost it. I think that somebody knew that I think it was a decision made by the government to destroy some of the telemetry data to get there.
We're never going to know.
No. But it makes sense. It makes sense to say that they didn't want other people to get it. And if we if we were no longer going to fund the moon project because it got boring. They were going to the moon. No one's getting excited about going to the moon. No one cared that we went to the moon for like the fifth time or whatever.
Well, yeah.
You know,
after the first time was a big to do.
Yeah, it was a big,
big parades and things of that nature.
And then
they even included it in the last Indiana Jones movie.
Cameras got better, megapixels got better, the technology in which we took to the moon got better in order to film. And like, I watched this video, like, you know how all did we leave somebody on the moon to film the lunar module going up and casting off the surface of the moon, and it followed it up. Like, I watched this whole video on how NASA designed that camera to specifically do that, and how like it was a engineering marvel, that camera of the time. So there's a lot of things that people don't know, that they'll just see that at face value, like, well, who stayed behind, who was filming, who lifted the camera up so they could follow the.
I'll tell you, the cameraman never dies. He's still alive.
He's still there.
He's still there. He's holding on to the camera. Like, the minute he lets go, he's dead.
Just that one silly question, right? Just for every other silly question, there's an answer for the silly question. Yeah, like, there's people that really go into it and debunk it and show what NASA created at that time, which was, revolutionary.
I stand a fine line with the moon landing. I do. There are some in my
yeah, like in the very beginning, I was like, when I started hearing that conspiracy, I was like, this kind of makes sense.
Interesting.
Because we haven't been back.
But you could listen to a lot of conspiracies, and if you entertain someone's compiled story where they compile, and they give you an hour-long video, you're going to be convinced because they
give you a half glass full of truth.
Right, and then the rest is just like the Beatles documentary.
Just to sway you to their side.
You ever seen the Beatles documentary? Like, they were saying that Paul McCartney really died in a car accident, and then someone replaced him.
I never saw that.
Oh, you got to watch that. That's a good one. Watch that.
They replaced him just because they couldn't have a member of the band die?
Because that Beatles were so popular that he died in this accident, they could not have the hysteria of Paul McCartney dying, so they replaced him with a clone. That's
more believable than us not going to the moon.
Hidden pictures and albums, and if you play things in reverse, you can hear like hidden messages from the band members. You gotta watch that.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, that's true. There is hidden messages, and watch that.
Damn.
Watch that documentary. I'm not a Beatles fan, but I entertained it, and I was like, holy shit.
It's interesting.
This is good.
Yeah.
But, I think if we ever want to go back to the moon, what we need to do is tell NASA straight up that you got to get together and you got to get a really good cup of coffee to get your shit together to get back.
And where you do that?
How You Brewing Cafe in Tuckahoe, New York is the place for NASA to go and everyone to go to get your cup of joe. They have 15 different flavors of iced coffee. I can't wait to get my first cup of iced coffee. 15 or 16 flavors of iced coffee. Sweet treats in the glass that you can enjoy in there. Macchiatos, espressos, you name it. How You Brewing got it. So if you want a really good cup of joe and some sweets, you got to head over to How You Brewing Cafe in Tuckahoe, New York. And of course, this episode is all a big thank you to Spotify for Creators. If you haven't heard about Spotify for Creators, it is a free app that allows you to get your podcasting idea
out there.
If you have a phone, tablet, or computer, head over to Spotify for Creators to get started. Joey?
How many times do you think we said that already?
This episode's what, 217? So 217 something times, probably Christ. Around there. I think 217 this episode is. Don't quote me because I'm on an arm and I'm on what a day today. But anyways, Joey, that's a nice fucking hoodie there, buddy.
Yeah,
Yep. So soon, hopefully, we're working on it. But this is a good start. Like, we got video now. We got regular mics. We got merch. 10K followers.
Drop a comment. Hats. Hoodies.
Let us know what you want in the comment section. Head over to SWAB_podcast on Instagram. DM us. Let us know what you want us to do. And maybe
I want a mug to have my coffee while I'm
I will get you a mug. You know what?
We're not a real podcast until we get coffee.
You take that mug and bring it to the cemetery.
That's what we've been missing the whole time. Just the mugs.
We're missing Joey on an adventure. Now, you know what? I'll make a mug. Fuck it. I'll get you a mug. I know someone else that will want a mug. I'll get them one too. All right?
Yes,
but until next time, this has been another episode of the Say What Again, Billy podcast.
Yes, sir.